Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Mercedes and this is the Frugal Life with Mercedes. Have you guys noticed an increase in your electric bill? Well, I have. Not too awful bad, but I definitely have noticed it. And a few months ago, I stumbled across a video online that was saying that because of the data centers, for AI and different things like that, that basically the regular people are footing the bill for that and not the corporations as they should be. Now, what I was really astonished by is Virginia, which is the state I live in, is the most affected because we are considered a hub. So Maryland and DC are also really heavily affected. It also mentioned North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Ohio, I think New Jersey, and Illinois, and there was like a few other ones, but this isn't necessarily going on nationwide as of yet. But that ticks me off because nobody asked me if they could build that data center. Nobody asked me if I was okay with footing billionaires' electric bills. Now, I understand that some people are going to argue that the data centers are needed. Blah, blah, blah. AI is not needed. I'm sorry, it's not. I have some pretty strong opinions about AI. And if you guys really do your research, it's not as great as is like they are promoting it. I understand that people like to play with all these videos and make deceased celebrities do whatever online and this and that. But it really is going to affect our jobs. But that's my little just so you guys know how I feel about AI. But it's really problematic, especially because these corporations have so much money. And then they're not even asking us, they are making us. They're making us foot the bill. So that's like me going to the grocery store and putting whatever I want in my shopping cart or going on a shopping spree and then telling you that you owe me X amount of dollars for my fancy shoes. Who's going to put up with that? Nobody. I don't know anybody that would. But that's essentially what these corporations are doing with our utility bills. And so part of the problem is the data centers, just in general, they're building more of them. But the other problem is that the existing data centers, they do not have the capability to manage that much on their grid. So when a data center is built, it's for a specific area with a specific population per capita kind of thing. But then once you get once you are doing AI and other things, the data center and the electric company, that's what I meant to say. You've got the electric company. Let me start over. You've got the electric company that's got their grids and their wires and whatever, and they are meant to give out electricity to a certain area. So your town, your county, your neighborhood, what have you, for a certain population. But then once you get a data center, they use so much electricity and so many resources, and then they're hooking up to that electric grid, and the electric company and their facility don't have the capability to do that because it was never meant to do that. So what do they have to do? They have to expand their building, their facility. They have to upgrade all their stuff. And the electric company is then charging us for that. Now, I'm not saying that these corporations are not paying anything. I'm just saying they're not paying their fair share. Whatever I use in my house, whatever electric, I've got the lights on right now. My husband is in our bedroom. He's sleeping and he's got a fan on. And I'm sure he's charging his phone. That's the electricity that we are consenting to use. So we should be paying for that. We should not be paying for anything else. Now, I will say the electric that we get is from a cooperative. And so if you use less electricity, you get a better rate than your neighbor that uses a ton of electricity, which I always thought was awesome. but like, you know that when you're going in, although where I live, like that's the only way, the only place you can get electricity from. It's not like a cell phone plan where you can pick from 50 different cell phone plans. Usually electric. I personally have never lived anywhere where it was like, here's 3 electric companies, you get to pick which one you want. Like, that's not a thing. At least not anywhere that I've lived. And that goes with so many other things. Where my parents live, they live in a really small town. And for the longest time, there was only one internet provider. And the internet was really expensive and it was garbage. But if you wanted internet, telephone, TV, this was back when people did like, Dish or whatever, that was the only company that you could use. So they could be crappy and expensive because, people were like, if you wanted to talk on the phone or be on the internet, and this is especially back when we first moved there and people still had dial-up, and that's like not right. But anyway, to get back to what I'm saying, these corporations are expecting us to foot the bill. Now, I'm encouraging you guys to contact your congressperson, your senator, whoever, and this needs to be rectified. Even if it doesn't affect you specifically, depending upon the state that you're living in, it will eventually. Just remember, whatever's going on, a lot of people will be like, well, that's their problem and not mine, until 6 months from now, it is your problem. So if we kind of all band together and are like, this is not okay, I don't think that we need that many data centers. We do not need, AI, all this kind of stuff. These things are not needs. But if these companies want to provide this service, then that's fine. But then they need to pay to make the facility of these electric companies and these grids capable of what they need them to be. I shouldn't have to pay that. So just something to think about, guys. And I will say, like, a couple of months ago, I did see a sign. I was going to a park and it was kind of like in the woods. And I saw a sign that somebody had in their yard that was like, no data center, blah, 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 like here. And, it's kind of like pipelines, like, like none of us really want those in our backyard. And I understand, I know some of you are going to be like, well, we have to have data centers. And it's like, okay, well, we don't need that many data centers, and whoever builds it should be paying for it. And these corporations, like not just these electric companies and the tech companies, all of them, all these big businesses are not paying their fair share. They're supposed to be paying carbon taxes. They should be paying carbon taxes and disposal taxes, and they should be held accountable for all the things that they are throwing away and wasting. And nobody's being held accountable for this. In other countries they are, but they are not here. So it's like you have to take a stance and decide, like, when is enough enough? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's time for these corporations to pay their fair share. And if they paid their fair share, they would still be bajillionaires. But they would be bajillionaires that people wouldn't dislike so much. You know what I mean? Like, they'd get a lot less crap from us if they just did what they were supposed to do. But unfortunately, we live in a society where when people are not held accountable, or when people have money or power or influence, or their daddy is somebody certain, and they've just never been held accountable, or they continue to not be held accountable, they're not necessarily going to do the right thing. So that is why we have laws and regulations to ensure that they do the right thing for the greater good for everybody. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing to my channel. And until next time, guys, bye.